All right. What's up, everybody? Ethan with Fight Me on This, author of Grit to Grace. I am here today with a super awesome human being, and I'm just going to get Scott to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Ethan. I'm Scott McKeen, longtime Edmontonian. I was a journalist with mostly with the Edmonton Journal, where I was a reporter and columnist for 24 years. Bunch of different community boards I've sat on, and then was elected to council in 2013. Served 2 terms, and now I didn't run again. So now I'm a citizen and happy to be a citizen again. Done a lot of mental health advocacy work because of my own journey through an anxiety disorder, which led to depression, which led to self-medication with alcohol. I should know this, but I think it's about 15 years sober now. And I like to say that everything I know, I learned in 12-step meetings. So there's an introduction for you, Ethan. And you and I ran into each other. You reached out to me, if my memory's right. There's 8 years were a bit of a blur when I was on council. And you were starting to do your own advocacy around mental health. And we had some good chats about that and support each other in that work.
Yeah, and thank you so much for being here today and doing this. Scott's actually going to do a reading. We're going to do a different style here. We're going to do, like this, just a little interview. Scott's gonna read a piece of the book to you guys, and we're going to chat about it afterwards. And Scott's going to give his opinion and just let you guys know what the book's about and why it matters that this book come out. And that you guys continue to support me and support this book and the Indiegogo to get it funded. All this is coming together as one piece, and Scott's going to lend his voice to this to help me push this even farther. So, without further ado, Scott, it's yours.
Thanks, Ethan, for the privilege. So this, a reading from Grit to Grace by Ethan. I do not know if you reading this book have ever been stuck in your own way before, but it is a crazy, unforgiving spot to be in. It's an immensely intricate and well-made trap, stuck in your own head or your own heart with no ability to get out. There were times when I could see that I was stuck in this trap, but had no idea where the key was. I could see that I needed help, but could not ask for it. I could see that I was getting darker and darker and darker and darker, but didn't know how to reach out. I wanted to be better, but believed that I didn't deserve to be better. I accepted the fact that I was paying for my crimes. All the hurt and suffering that I had caused in my lifetime. This was my penance for being that level of evil for so long. I lived for so long in a darkness that I had made I'd lived for so long in darkness, but I had made it my home. So I didn't even notice it. It didn't weigh on me because I was thriving in it. It's quite fascinating, actually, when your point of view, your needs, your wants change, and the environment you lived in becomes an environment that you can't even breathe in. I was drowning in guilt and suffocating in shame. It presented in different ways at different times. I was shamed because I was grossed out by myself. I was grossed out because I would think things like, I let that happen. What's wrong with me? You stayed for what purpose? You were gay. You deserved it. You can't escape it now. You're fat. Avery won't want you when she finds out. The list goes on. I was losing a battle I didn't know I had to fight. It was always a battle against the voices in my head, filling it with self-hatred and self-loathing, shame and disgust, fear and worthlessness. I was consumed by my self-hatred. I would block everyone out so they didn't get close enough to get hurt by my bullshit. I put up walls that were for everyone else's protection, thinking that I had to do this alone because who could handle me? I mean, the depths of my hurt, the weight of my shame, the severity of my brokenness. Who the hell would want to participate in all that? who deserve to have the burden put on them? Why should more people suffer just because I got hurt and perpetrated the cyclical nature of abuse?
Hmm. Thank you, Scott, for doing that reading. That's interesting, experiencing emotion, hearing somebody else read that. Yeah, wow, thank you so much for doing that. I guess first question is, what did you take from that reading? Like, how did that affect you? How did that make you feel? What did you take out of it?
Well, you and I have different life circumstances, right? One of the themes I've been talking to people about lately, when we're talking about polarization in our community right now and anti-racism and racism, is one of the things I've said to people is, maybe it's our experience of pain that would bond a lot of us together. And as I read that, I knew that, like I know that experience. The Buddhists call it your monkey mind, chattering and chittering away in the background all the time.
Mm.
And I don't know exactly where mine came from, and I would have to spend some time thinking of what it says. Probably would be different at different times of my life. But I think it's essentially something like, I'm a failure. I'm unlovable. I don't measure up. I'm a loser. I don't know how to make friends. I don't know how to love or have someone love me. Very, very critical, deep beliefs. So I think they sometimes call them subconscious or unconscious beliefs. And we have them and they're powerful. And they were inflicted upon us, right? They were inflicted upon us by life, by others, by perhaps family of origin, perhaps that bully in junior high. I had one of those. This bombardment of messages we get from mass media too, of all the beautiful people, beautiful, successful people who are living these wonderful, happy lives that are all bullshit. But if you're maybe sensitive enough to these messages, I won't say we, but I tended to pull them in and ignore probably messages that were about me being okay.
Yeah, I feel that last bit really, really deeply. Like just being so integrated in fighting the voices and fighting the suck, fighting that negative self-talk that you just completely miss the good talk. It's no, it's not until you start to heal, you start to look back and see that there was it wasn't all bad. There was stuff that I missed, and that's no fault, like nobody's fault. That's the natural progression of healing from stuff. Is being so caught up in the fight just to be okay that you miss the fact that you are.
Yeah, I think the other thing that struck me in reading that was how I like you better. And that might sound weird, but how do you ever really get to know another person unless they drop the mask a little bit and talk vulnerably about their flaws and their failures and their regrets and their fears and some of those constant voices in our head that tell us we're losers, right? And I think it's excuse me, and sharing those, that we maybe take a little bit of the power out of those voices. Because I could tell you, Ethan, I think you're fantastic. You're an amazing guy. You're very bright. You're doing this outreach to people. That's amazing. And I mean that all sincerely, but it's probably going in a millimeter and then bouncing back out. They say in 12-step meetings, it's an inside job. You sort of got to work on yourself, right? And it takes time and effort. And one of the things I learned, maybe the most important thing I learned in my life, was the notion of service or self-sacrifice. So if I help you, Ethan, I get two wonderful things out of that, maybe three, that are obvious. One, maybe I make you happy, and I get to see that. Two, I get to forget myself for at least a moment, and those negative voices, if I'm focused on your needs in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the third thing, which is subtle and I think takes a period of time, is maybe I start to recognize that I'm a little bit proud of myself for
Mm-hmm.
behaving like a good man. And I've often said this too. I don't know what it means to be a great man, but I've met a lot of good men over time. And I'd love to be considered a good man. And
Mm-hmm.
so I try to behave that way. And I'm using, the gender thing because I'm a man. And I know that in our society, men need to clean up their act
Mm-hmm.
and then find a reason to be proud, to be humble, good men. Proud, imagine that, proud to be humble. But I think there's an element of truth in that, and it's quietly taking some pride and joy in helping other people.
Absolutely, and that's why I think we get to get along so well, and we both have that same mindset of just do this for, build the community, reach out, lead by that example, and you can't refute the good and positive change you can make by showing people that there's others out there and you are cared for. It's just a little bit more light every day, and it's a beautiful thing in the work that we get to do. Um, I guess why are you supporting this book? And if you could leave the people who see this video, the viewers, with one thing from this meeting, from this interview, what would it be?
Well, I think it's really important to hear a young leader like you. For someone your age, for what you've been through in life, to be as vulnerable and open and transparent as you've been, it's a real act of leadership, a real act of leadership. And what you're going to do, and why I want people to take the time and the effort to support this work of yours and to read the book, is that it shows that, I don't know, it just shows a true human face and a true expression of life is hard.
Mm,
But you know how it's less hard is if we have a community of people that are working together and playing together,
mm-hmm.
supporting each other. And the key to that, I really do believe, is dropping your guard and being, when you're sad, being sad, and when you're scared, being scared. Um, and 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 then what happens is somebody else will need support from you when they're like that, and you'll
Yeah.
be open to that, right? So it takes, like any of these things, everything I learned in life, I learned from 12 step. But what I learned from that is that it's about practice. I will never get this down. I
Mm-hmm.
can be a jerk. I can get angry. I can be selfish and egotistical and wonder why I'm not getting the accolades I deserve. I can,
Mm-hmm.
that's all in there, right? And it
Yeah.
takes practice to sand off the sharp edges of our character. But
Mm-hmm.
it's work. And so I think, yours is a good example of somebody doing the leadership to help other people sand off the sharp edges of their character in their lives so that they might find a bit more joy
Mm-hmm.
and a bit more, during the pandemic, we know that people, like alcohol sales have gone way up. We know that there's more suicides.
Mm-hmm.
Life is hard on our own. It's a solitary life is very difficult.
Yeah.
So you're reaching out. What you're doing is reaching out with your voice and your words, offering an amazing gift to people, and that is of community.
Yeah. Thank you.
No,
Appreciate that.
thank you. Thank you.
And what would you leave people with today?
Well, I think the overarching message from what I've just said is that um, there is a lot of social isolation in
Mm,
modern cities. And it's hard to find ways to reach out, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
So, it used to be through faith groups, churches, service clubs. There's less of that around. Bars are not the best place to find community. I think it can
Mhm.
happen. I'm not denying that.
Yeah.
But volunteering is, I think, the easiest way to try out different communities and
Hmm.
find therapy is always good too. But probably part of the problem with the self-help movement is in doing it all alone.
Hmm.
And I think Ethan, you and I might have to talk about that more down the road. But how do we get people out to small support groups
Hmm.
that turn into something that's kind of fun too, right?
Yeah.
But we can be open and honest and vulnerable with each other and then go play. What a wonderful thing that would
What
be.
a
And then
beautiful
groups
concept.
like that, when somebody's sick or they're really down or whatever, that group can come support that person.
Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again so much, Scott, for being here today with me. This has been a lot of fun and really humbling. It's been an honor to have you do this with me. It's been an honor to know you and have your support all these years, and looking forward to getting to do some more really cool stuff with you in the future.
I'm not going anywhere, and you ask and I'll be there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Scott, I will keep you on here. Peace.